To win the dash for cash. White flag is out at Dover. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
When this day would come, I made a promise to myself that I would make this video. I didn't know if it was ever going to happen, if there was ever a chance I would see this. Now usually I like to keep my bias out of the videos. I try to make sure there's no favoritism. But on this occasion, I'll push that to the side. If it is not obvious yet, I am a Ryan Truex fan. And while to many this was just a casual race win, this for me was the conclusion to a journey that has been going longer than many even know. You see, unlike many, my fandom of Truex didn't start last year or 3 years ago. Not even in the last 10 years did it start. We have to go all the way back to 2009.
There's the 0-0 of Ryan Truex. Mentioned a father-son team, the most famous father-son team in this series. Well, it was Kelly and Ryan Moore, but Martin Truex Sr. and Jr. made up a pretty good team, and now Ryan Truex, the younger of the Truex siblings, leading this race here early.
It was August, and I was a kid. I had only just discovered what Speed Channel was a few months prior. During this time, Speed was nearly completely dominated by NASCAR. And besides Mondays and Tuesdays, which played talk shows, NASCAR had some sort of afternoon time slot dedicated to it. Wednesdays would be the classic NASCAR segment, an old race replay to hype up the event for the weekend. Thursday would be a combination of either a K&N East or West race, or even the Wheel Modified Tour. And then of course on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were all practices and qualifying. For the many now that never got to experience it, it was an awesome time. And on Thursdays is where this journey begins. During the end of the summer, I discovered the K&N replays, and started watching. The first one I saw was the 2009 Mohegan Sun 200 at Lime Rock Park. There, Matt DiBenedetto led the most laps from the pole. But nearing the end, Ryan Truex drove to the front and won what would be his third race of the season. As a kid, I thought the look of the white 0-0 was awesome, and I began rooting for him. It was only 2 races later that this car would win the 2009 East Championship. At this point, being a kid, I really didn't know who this driver was, or where he would go from here. Heading into 2010 is where I tuned back in. I saw he was running the E Series once more, and over the year they would compile all 3 racing series I mentioned prior in the order of how they ran, and then play them on their tape delay. There's some great memories from when I would come home from school in 2010 on a Thursday and check to see if it was an East-West or modified race. When I see that would say the E Series, my excitement would nearly triple. I knew that Ryan would be racing during those events, and I rooted for him as much as I could. It was also during this year that Ryan got his first ever top 3 touring start at Gateway. He was again driving the 0-0 car for Michael Waltrip Racing. Ryan was just barely north of 18 at this point by only about 3 months. And his first ever start, he qualified 19th. Across the night, Ryan slowly moved through the field. And by lap 100, he was top 10. He got up to 9th, before leveling out around that position. Before he could make it to the finish though,
22 laps to go here at Gateway, and the caution is out for the 4th time. Ryan Truex in trouble.
Got away from me.
In turn 1 and 2.
Man, I hate that too. He was having such a good run. Looked solid out there all night long.
Let's see what happened, Rusty. Look at the right-hand side of your picture.
See that, guys? Nobody around him. Just gets in hot and loses it.
Whilst he did wreck and it dimmed my excitement, I still thought it was impressive that in his first start he drove up to the front of the field like that. It was a really impressive showing for a kid driving the 2nd car in a mid-level team. On an off note, this race that we're talking about is also the same one that this happened in.
Restart. This is going to be down to the wire. Oh, they touch. He spun out.
Across picking up his 2nd consecutive East title, he started 6 more nationwide races in 2010. In his 2nd ever start, he qualified 2nd at Michigan, which would then lead to a 12th place finish. Through his other 5 starts, he had some ups and downs, his worst being 37th at Charlotte. It was after Robert Richardson spun after sending it 3 wide. He spun up the track and collected Ryan. Now, if you notice in this clip, Ryan in this race is driving the number 99. And that's because halfway through his nationwide starts that year, they had him swap teams and run for Jerry Baxter and his 99 crew. Now, Baxter and his 99 team aren't bad, but they removed him from his K&N crew chief, Mike Gretschy, who was highly experienced in the sport and had built plenty of chemistry with Ryan. The two had also just won back-to-back K&N titles, and if you think a full-time opportunity is next for him, well, you'd be wrong. He only got 11 starts in 2011, driving the 99 again. The team had lost its primary sponsorship, and MWR nationwide branch was barely alive at this point. It was just Ryan and pretty much whatever Michael Waltrip felt like running. Now Ryan did alright through these first 11 starts, and he had no finish worse than 20th in his first 6. He had an overall best of 8th at Richmond, but a 25th and 34th stumped the 99 team. Then, it was over after race 14 in Chicago. The 99 team was pretty much dead, and Ryan had no avenue to continue. Ryan was pretty much a development driver for MWR, and with him solely focused on Cup now, he had to look to another team inside the Toyota wheelhouse. Enter Joe Gibbs Racing. Toyota really didn't want to let their 2-time 19-year-old champion go, and they threw him in the 20 car in Xfinity at Atlanta. He got 11th, then he went to Richmond, where he got a 4th place. It was his first top 5 in the top 3 touring divisions. Next was Chicago with a 13th, then Dover with an 8th. Then he got another top 10 at Kansas. Soon after, he got one more start in a 99 car, where he finished 34th after crashing again. Then he got another 8th in the 20 at Phoenix. During his time in the 20, his crew chief was another young talent trying to get going, Adam Stevens. This was Stevens' first year crew chiefing in the top 3 series, and with already winning races with Hamlin and Logano during the year, he'd also looked snazzy with the young Truex. Again in 2012, however, sponsorship plagued Ryan. He had only Grime Boss, which gave him only 7 starts in a Joe Gibbs car. He had 4 more in smaller Toyota teams, but in his JGR starts, he got 10th, 11th, 10th, 10th, 15th, and 38th. That 38th was after a crash, obviously, and there was one race, though, where he won the pole for and led 43 laps in.
Can he do it? It's going to be hard. At this point, I don't know that he's got a car that's able to run the lap times. Has to be overheating that right rear tire.
Yeah, that car is really moving around. Ryan Truex's car is, and Logano, he is just on it right now. I mean, 6 laps to go is a long way around this racetrack. As fast as Joey Logano is catching Truex. Now he's up in traffic.
Look out, that's
time.
trouble. Wow.
Yeah, he did not need that.
Logano.
That killed him. That killed him.
Hang on. No. New leader, Joey Logano.
Now, he lost this race and got a career best 2nd. And while this is painful, I didn't see this happen live. All I saw was that he finished 2nd, and only after did I see this replay. To say this sucked is an understatement. At this point, I knew more about racing, and how important that this could have been to him, and instead, it just became another decent run. He did make 2 starts in trucks this year as well, getting a 9th at Phoenix, driving the number 27 Mike Hillman Toyota. His other start ended in a mechanical issue, and for 2013, the steam in Ryan's sails was practically gone from those East titles. He had no money backing him. He had barely any opportunities to get accolades in the top 3 racing series, and his relationship with TRD at this point was practically gone. He got one offer to drive in 2013 though, from James Finch. If I were to pinpoint where maybe this story is at its lowest point, it might be right here. That's no knock to James Finch, but his team was never really big. He ran 3 races in 2013 for that backmarker team, with the proudest accomplishment being a 32nd. Besides that, he was the backup driver for the 9 car at Mid-Ohio in the Nationwide Series. 2013 was the point where I thought Truex's career was practically dead. I hadn't given up on him, but I'd only seen him drive 3 times in Cup, driving an absolutely terrible car. I thought that it was only a matter of time before I'd either see him on some sort of spotter stand or not even at the track.
Out there logging laps because it was hairy out on the racetrack when this one started.
Here they come, buddy.
There it goes. The pace truck makes its way onto pit road. Field in the hands of Ben Kennedy, great-grandson of the founder of NASCAR. Green flag in the air. We're underway.
Just like every year, the first points-paying race is the truck race at Daytona. As usual, I tune in to watch the classic race. And in 2014, when I tuned in, I see rolling around the track in a black and orange 32 with brass post shops on the hood, Ryan Truex. I was confused. What is he doing in trucks? Nonetheless, I was happy to see him. I was even happier to see him get 4th this race. It renewed my faith in him. It kept me believing. And soon, he was running every other week in the Cup Series. He was driving the number 83 for BK Racing, where a gut run was 35th or better. Eventually a 20th at Pocono gave the team a fantastic run. But at Michigan in August, Ryan crashed and he sprained his wrist and got a minor concussion. J.J. Yaley replaced him. And soon after Chicago, Ryan was out of a ride in Cup. For 2015, Ryan again got only 4 starts, all in Xfinity for Fred Biaggi. His best finish was 17th. And again it appeared perhaps a dead end was building. But it was at this point that he got an offer for someone who actually had funding. The 81 truck of Hattori Racing. Now many know this team for what they are now, but at this point they were a burgeoning organization. Together, Shiggy and Ryan formed a part-time deal, and they headed to Daytona. Ryan went out and led 14 laps before a caution came out and put him second to Johnny Sauter. This was huge. It once again renewed hope for him. An 81 team committed to run as many races as possible with the sponsorship they could find. Next was a 20th at Atlanta, then 12th at Martinsville, then a 6th, an 8th, and then a 22nd, a 26th. They missed a few races before 23rd and 21st, along with the 15th and 16th, and then an 8th at Talladega. They ended off with a 14th and a 32nd. The 32nd was because of an engine failure early in the race at Homestead. While those results aren't staggering, besides the couple top 10s, it was a foundation. They laid one for 2017. And the team number was changed to 16. And they started off the year with 6 top 10s in the first 8 races. They put Ryan 6th in standings, along with leading 47 laps at Dover. Ryan was finally getting a full-time deal in the top 3 Touring Series ride. He did have a minor slump in the summer with a 20th, 23rd, and 20th, but he reversed all of it with a 3rd at Pocono, a 4th at Michigan, 16th at Bristol, and then a 5th at Canadian Tire. They headed into Chicagoland, Truex sitting 6th in standings, but 13 points out behind Ben Rhodes to make the truck playoffs. Ryan goes into this race needing to gain that on him, and he wins the pole. He then wins Stage 1, and gets 8th in Stage 2. Ryan through the day gains enough points and runs 4th as Rhodes runs 6th. He closes the gap to a tie, but Ryan can't gain and no one can pass Rhodes. And at the finish, they stay the same, and they give the tiebreaker to Ben. Despite the fact that Ryan had more top 5s and top 10s during the entire regular season, they gave it to Ben, because back at Pocono, he beat Ryan for 2nd, giving him a better overall finish. Now you could say I'm a little bitter that they gave it to a guy who had less top 5s and top 10s than him, and also expanded the truck playoffs to 10 drivers soon after. But I think what makes this even worse is the next race, Ryan finished 2nd. The race after at Las Vegas, he won the pole. And they grabbed 2 more top 10s in the top 5 by the end of the year. By the end of his time, he had an average finish of 11.4, an average start of 8.9. He had 8 top 5s in 23 races and 13 top 10s, the best season of his top 3 career. And for 2018, Hattori was looking to go even higher and better, but they did it without Ryan. What's the most painful thing about this is when Hattori got new driver Brett Moffitt, the truck team won the title the next year. It was off the platform that Ryan had built. It's nothing against Brett Moffitt, he's a great driver, and he took advantage of it. But he wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for what Ryan did the 2 years prior. It just felt like salt in the wound. It stung. Just like the tie. Just like the race at Gateway. Just like everything that had been building up to that point. But at least he still had a ride for 2018. For the first time in 3 years, Ryan made his return to Xfinity, driving the 11 Collig car. Now this is not the Collig team you think of now. Collig barely had any sponsorship at this point. In the 2 seasons of Blake Cook, they had a total of 10 top 10s in total across 66 races. They had never finished top 5, and had led a total of 48 laps. Ryan was hired again to build a platform, and many have critiqued his numbers here at Collig in 2018, not putting it in perspective. During his time, he had 11 top 10s and 1 top 5, which, by the way, was the first ever top 5 in Collig's history. If we look at the first 20 races of the season, and you exclude Talladega, Ryan didn't finish outside the top 15 until Watkins Glen. And he didn't finish outside the top 20 until Bristol. 6 months consistently finishing top 15. In total, he only finished outside the top 20 5 times that year, and finished top 15 26 times. In comparison, he finished top 15 more times that year than the champion Tyler Reddick. But Ryan was let go again. In the following season, AJ Allmendinger and Ross Chastain would win for Collig, Justin Haley would use the team as a leaping point to build a successful Xfinity career. Again, Ryan helped build the platform, but was thrown aside. This time he had no full-time opportunity for 2019. He had got an offer from Tommy Baldwin to try and make it a 500, and they DNQ'd. He did, however, get an offer to run part-time in Xfinity, in the 8 car for Junior Motorsports. He had only 6 races, and in his first race at Phoenix, he almost won it. He came up second to Kyle Busch. He had to wait 4 months before he got another opportunity at Kentucky, where he got 8th. Then he got 7th at New Hampshire, and then he got 14th at Las Vegas. That would be his worst finish on merit. Then he would get a top 10 at the Charlotte Roval, and then his last start came at Kansas, where he'd finished last. However, it was because he blew up on lap 4. He didn't even get a chance, and it swayed his stats to make it look as though he had the worst average finish out of anyone who raced that car that year. But if you were to take out that 38th place finish due to a blown engine, he is second in average finish, only to Ryan Preece. Again, for 2020 he was out of a ride, and he went down to the Truck Series in the 40. He ran 9 races there through the plague season, where his best finish was 12th twice, and his worst was 34th and 30th. They gave Ryan another full-time ride in the 40 truck for 2021, where he started off the year with a 4th place at Daytona, then a 5th at Talladega, and a 9th at Las Vegas. Besides that, Ryan ran mid-pack, and left again after the season. Instead of getting another mediocre full-time ride, it was his connection through his brother Martin that gave him a small part-time ride for 2022. Ryan started off with JGR's 19 car at Daytona with a 12th place finish. He then went to Vegas and got wrecked, then to Martinsville and got 7th, then another 30th after getting wrecked. Then he capped off his 2 starts with a 6th and a 3rd. He ended off his year on a good note, and decided to bring him back with a couple more starts for 2023 this season. Now the car he drives is a Toyota Genuine Parts car, which is practically unsponsored. Immediately at the beginning of this year, he got 2nd again at Phoenix, then another 3rd at Atlanta, 12th at Martinsville, 17th after leading 9 laps at Dega, and then we head to Dover.
2 remaining.
He just wants to get through his traffic too. I like the bottom. If let me be in control, I'll run the bottom and get around that. Sheldon Creed on the old tires still. We talked about his strategy over and over again. He's running 11th. He's going to have a decent day at the end of the day.
Custer is 7th, in position right now to win the Dash for Cash. White flag is out at Dover. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
To express to you the feeling, the emotion of watching this happen was something anticipated for nearly 14 years. There were points where I never thought that this would come, but through all the ups and downs and everything, I never gave up hope. I never stopped thinking Ryan had the ability to do it. He finally did it. Ryan Truex finally won a NASCAR touring race.
Attaboy. I knew you could do it, man. I knew we'd get one this year. Great job, man. Great job, Stevie.
I'm out of breath, man. Oh my God. Just so thankful. All these fans, my team, everybody that stuck behind me. Most people didn't believe in me, and I still did. My girlfriend, Leah, my family, parents, brother, everybody. Just so thankful to be here. This is amazing. I felt like 20 to go, I was just waiting for something to happen. And I was just praying, please, guys, just keep everything straight. Let's get to the end of this. And what a car. What an amazing GR Supra. I'm speechless. I thought I'd be more emotional right now, but when I crossed the flag, I couldn't even talk on the radio. And I'm not an emotional guy, so yeah. This is for everyone that doubted me.